Well, you heard me talking a little bit earlier, a couple minutes ago, about Irma. And interestingly enough, this morning as I was getting dressed to get ready to go into the studio, I logged onto Instagram and I saw a post where they were having a prayer service on South Beach. And there was a load of people out on that beach and they were praying. And if you recall on last week, I shared with you how when 9/11 hit, and oddly enough, we're coming upon that date again, when 9/11 hit, there was a massive prayer service in Yankee Stadium. And Yankee Stadium was full, just as if the Yankees were in there playing. Yankee Stadium was full. And it was filled with people of all races, religions, backgrounds, beliefs, gender, color, size, age. It didn't matter. That stadium was filled with folks who were praying because of what had just happened with 9/11, with those towers coming down and all the other destruction that happened with the planes hitting the towers, so forth and so on. And now, so I saw this morning where they were doing something very similar down on South Beach in anticipation of Irma coming. And I'm going to say again the same thing I said on last week. Why don't we do things like that when a disaster has not occurred? Why don't we do things like that on a regular basis? And maybe, just maybe, I'm not saying it wouldn't, disasters won't occur because disasters are what they are. But maybe it might not occur. I don't know. But I don't quite understand why it always takes a catastrophe or a disaster for us to then remember and think about praying. And I'm not saying folks don't pray in their home and they may not, but I mean, think about it. If we were as a human race, as a people, if around the country we were to get together in these sports stadiums every now and again, or on beaches, or anywhere where a large crowd could gather and just say, you know what, I don't care what your particular faith or whatever, we just going to get in here and we're going to pray. The same thing they're doing down on South Beach, same thing they did in Yankee Stadium. I honestly believe the world and the country would be a better place because there is a verse in the Bible that says, if my people would humble themselves and pray, I would heal the land. And I believe a lot of lands would be healed if we would do more of what I saw on Instagram this morning with those folks out there praying on the beach, the same way we were praying with 9/11, we were in Yankee Stadium. I honestly believe some lands would be healed. But we only do that after the damage has occurred or either right before it's getting ready to strike. Now, a few weeks from now, when everything, well, actually, the way this storm is hitting, it's going to take way more than a few weeks to recover. But when life goes back to normal, whenever that is, you're not going to see any reports of anybody praying on South Beach. You're not going to see any reports of anybody praying in Yankee Stadium. And that's my point. So, you know what? I can only imagine. You just heard me read about whoever you call, whatever you believe in, about the trust. And that's what Iyanla was saying. But I can only imagine how God fits, because I kind of got a feel for it just with my own kids, just with my personal kids alone. I kind of get a glimpse of what God may feel that, they only call on you when they need you. When times are going well, they could care less that you exist. Matter of fact, they get snooty and sometimes won't even respond to your calls or texts. And then whenever they need something, then all of a sudden it's dad. Then all of a sudden it's mom. Now you become dad to them. But any other time they might even call you by your first name, or either not respond at all. And see, so I can only imagine kind of like what God, because we do the same thing to him. When times are going great, a lot of times folk care less about God, other than to say, oh my God, other than to say that phrase, because that's interesting too. Folks who don't believe in God, the first thing come out of their mouth when something hits is, oh my God. Like, but I thought you didn't believe in God. What are you saying? Oh, what do you mean, oh my God? You said you don't believe in God. But that's the first thing come out of folks' mouths whenever something is either told to them, the shocking, or either something that happens, or either they see something. First thing out of the mouth is, oh my God. So I can only imagine what God kind of feels like. Okay, all you folk, now you on the beach praying, now you in Yankee Stadium praying, now you need me. But any other time, it's like all I'm worrying about is my money. All I'm worrying about is my house. All I'm worrying about is my family. All I'm worrying about is my friends. All I'm worrying about is my job. So now you need me because something is coming along that's bigger than all of that. Irma is bigger than any job. Irma is bigger than any house. Irma is bigger than any bank account. Irma is bigger than any friends or family. So now you come to me, and I'm not, by all means, I could not agree more with these various prayer services and the expressions. I could not agree with them more. My point is we need to do that on a regular rather than just waiting. Rather than, as we say, making God a 911 God. Because that's pretty much what we do. We do. And I'm saying we. I didn't say you. I didn't say us. I didn't say them. I said we. That's what we do. We make God a 911 God. We call on emergencies. And then whenever life gets back to normal, we go on about our business. Don't even think about it. Because see, again, I can relate to that based on my relationships with my own children. Life gets back to normal. Don't even talk that much. But when something's needed, oh my goodness, can't call the names enough. So I get it. I understand, but that's what we do. And so I just found it interesting this morning that I saw that clip on Instagram, and, the person that posted it said, oh my God, I love this. I love it too. I had to share it. I said, I love it too. And I'd like to see more of it, because I truly believe if we saw more of that, if we did more of that, I really don't care your religious background or whatever, but everybody coming together and praying to a higher authority, praying to God. For the most part, the higher authority, I don't care what religion is, it's some type of name that means God. Whether it's Allah, whether it's Yahweh, whether it's whatever, most of the time, these meanings mean God. So whoever it is that you pray to, like the passage that I read earlier, if we all got together, because if you looked in the Bible, there's a section in there where folks all got together and they were speaking in their own tongues and their own languages. That was on that day of Pentecost. Everybody got together in their own tongue and they all got together and prayed. And guess what? Those prayers were heard in their own languages. So it's the same kind of concept. That's what I see whenever I look at a Yankee Stadium prayer service like around 9/11, or when I look at a South Beach prayer service like what's going on either yesterday or right now or a couple days ago or whenever it was. Folks were not on the beach sunbathing. They were on the beach praying. And again, the storm is coming. So they're praying, and I'm sure their prayers will be heard in God's own way. But the fact that they had at least the wherewithal and the sense enough to get out there and pray, that does say something. I just say we need to do that more often. Every now and again, we need to see the news cameras going by South Beach saying, wow, there's a big prayer service going on. Every now and again, the news helicopters and the news ought to be going by Yankee Stadium or Shea Stadium, whatever they call it now, on Citi Field or whatever, all these stadiums around the country. Wow, there's prayer services going on. Can you imagine if on one of these days we pull together every sports arena and every sports stadium? We're expecting folks to come there and pray. Now, if things are going good, most likely that effort, it would be empty. For the true believers, they'd come out. But for those who just kind of go on their way, they wouldn't pay it no mind. But I'll bet you if a catastrophe was coming on like Irma is, I bet you they'd be full. That's all I'm saying. As the kids used to say, I'm just saying. All right. This is Marc Medley. You're listening to WP 88.7 FM and GoBrave.org. My guest will be joining me in the 7 o'clock hour, Bob Berg. And I think, as a matter of fact, I know what we're going to be talking about this morning is appropriate for what's going on, because there's a connection. Like you always hear me talk about gratitude. You always hear me talk about how we really need to be more grateful in everything. And so we're going to be talking about this morning. What also goes along with gratitude is giving. And Bob Berg is going to be talking about, because he is the author. He's an author, speaker, and he's written a book, several books actually, because it started out as one book and now it's spun off into like a series of books. But the original book was called The Go-Giver. See, it's a play on words. I tell you all the time, I love a play on words. It's called The Go-Giver. And because most time you hear people say, oh, he's a go-getter. Ooh, she's a go-getter. So Bob took it and did a play on words and wrote a book called The Go-Giver. Giver. So So we're going to be talking about that in the 7 o'clock hour. And like I said, it's spun off. It's gone into the Go-Giver Leader. There's a couple more Go-Givers in the series. So we'll talk about that. But again, the whole purpose and the premise of the book deals with giving, about how much you actually wind up getting back because you give.